So last night was the first of three currently scheduled presidential debates. Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, the former V versus current POTUS. And it was I believe the quote from, I believe it was either a CNN or Fox News contributor. It was a shit show. Yes, I said the full word there. Hey CC, I see ya. Welcome, welcome. But the thing is, you look at this, and I've heard all different types of reactions. A lot of folks that favor the president are like, "Oh, the president raffle stopped VP Biden." Folks that are more of left in nature are like, "Oh, Joe Biden. Joe Biden showed Donald Trump who's boss and stuff and things." And then other folks are like, "Are is this really is this really the binary we have to choose from?" Oh, there are other choices. There's a libertarian. We did have Unity 2020 as a potential option, everything, but that's currently been pivoted off of and everything. Um, but as far as my thoughts on this, what's my take on this whole situation? In my opinion, Joe Biden actually did better than I expected. I mean, the beginning of the debate was actually very telling, as seeing as we are in the middle of plague times, there were several folks that just kind of, you had the, just very few claps here and there. Hey, Dave M. Oh no, I feel you, man. I feel you. Shout out to my patrons, Dave M., along with Joe Franco. This broadcast is helped made possible by viewers like you. But you look at the whole situation. A lot of folks were saying, "Oh, Joe Biden, oh, he's senile, this and that." It's like, yeah, he spoke words. They were decently coherent. They had some stumbles and everything. Yeah, I mean, he's known for gaffes. Is he necessarily the greatest orator in the world? No. Do I think this is necessarily the same Joe Biden that I've heard about 10 years ago, back during the Obama administration? Dude's 78 years old. My apologies for being ageist, but I mean, hey, President Trump ate a spring chicken either. That's the thing. I'm looking at this. I mean, either one of these dudes get elected, we're literally going to be swearing in the oldest president upon inauguration. Again, apologies for my ageism, but I'm looking at this, and the big thing is the president, his strategy, or at least what he did, is basically he was just constantly interrupting VP Biden there. And it's just, this is something he's done before, but it did seem a lot more just intentional now. I mean, let's face it. I felt bad for Chris Wallace, the Fox News moderator, because he's literally trying to let VP Biden actually answer a question, but it seemed fairly few and far between Joe Biden was giving the answer and President Trump would just kind of go in and be like, "Oh, this or that." And as a debate strategy, if you're trying to throw someone off the game, I mean, it seems to be decently effective. Was it overly effective? I mean, not as much as I think the president was going for there to a lot of folks. I mean, it just seemed to be being a dick and everything. I mean, was it within character? Yeah. Is this what we want for president? I mean, not particularly for me. I mean, do you want president to be strong? Yeah. That's why I hear a lot of folks like, "Oh, couldn't we have someone like The Rock that could kind of do this or that?" It's like, really? Well, I mean, he was the people's champion. He does have a lot of followers on Instagram, but I digress. Dwayne, I could vote for you. Moving along. So we got into the debate, and both candidates were there. And Joe Biden, occasionally, what he would do is, I think he knew what the president was trying to do. He was trying to kind of knock him off his game, trying to go this or that. And he would just kind of just like shoo him off. At one point, he literally just told him, "Shut up." And it's like, it didn't really seem an overly angry tone. I mean, are you going to get pissed if you're trying to express yourself and folks just keep on yakking and yakking? It's like, anyone that's been on a live stream knows that that's not fun. People want to have their peace. And if folks can't have their peace, who's going to want to take part in that and everything? And that's part of it because, well, I mean, he's the president. He's not the challenger. This is a different situation rather than versus Secretary Clinton. Now, at the same time, there were a couple of points where even David Pakman, he pointed this out earlier, was the sheer fact that some of the times it's like, yeah, Joe Biden's kind of like default, just kind of like, he just kind of like has a little chuckle or anything. And it's like, Donald Trump, I feel like he didn't really particularly like that. But then again, I mean, Trump's going to be Trump. That's what he does. And you got to a couple points there where literally the president's trying to paint Joe Biden and the Kamala Harris ticket out to be, you're all Marxist, this and that, which MC actually pointed out. I think MC's stream is still actually going on right now, is the fact he's like, no, we're not doing that. He's like, no, we're not going to abolish private health care and everything, which in some ways, whether it was intentional or not, may have actually been a very good strategy for the president. Why do I say that? Because, well, socialized medicine, some form of Medicare for all, I mean, that's big for a lot of folks. The quote unquote, the Bernie bros, kind of more like the social democrats and stuff like that. Kind of those type of folks there. It's like, all right. And then you get into the whole fracking thing as well, which is a thing. It's like, well, he kind of said he was going to ban it, and then not at the debate, but at one point he's like, oh, no, we'll clarify. We're going to look at different things. So it's like, all right, those are important to people. At least for that voting demographic, the president got Joe Biden to kind of take a much more moderate view, something more of a la the Obama administration. I mean, who does that really surprise there? Joe Biden. It's kind of like, Biden, yes, the fusion. Actually, to be fair, President Obama could technically run for VP, I think. Actually, not. I heard a legal video. Sorry, going all over the place. But essentially, we had that. It's like, all right. And the sheer fact that Joe Biden didn't necessarily engage with him, because let's face it, I think the president was just kind of poking. He was just doing like the whole jab, trying to get Biden to throw the punch so he could do the whole Donald Trump counterpunch. In my opinion, the president just kind of came off as a bully. And it's like, all right, well, you're a dick, but how much of a dick are you being? I mean, a lot of his base, I talked with a Trump supporter generally at work, and he's like, oh, dude, it was freaking hilarious. But even he was like, can you believe these are our choices? And this is the guy, he's like, yeah, no, I love what the president was doing. He's an asshole, but I loved it because it was entertaining. And a lot of folks find that funny. A lot of folks are appalled by it. But the thing is, let's face it, the folks that watch this debate, if you tended to support Trump, you probably still support Trump. If you tended to support Biden, you probably still support Biden. What does that mean? You're talking about the folks more in the middle that could potentially be swayed. Some folks that are like, you know what, at this point, I don't even want to feel like voting. Is there anything compelling them to actually vote, to actually get involved? In my opinion, it's like, well, I mean, you could give Joe Biden some credit. The sheer fact that he wasn't actively engaged, it's like he seemed modicumly like an adult in the room, which for some folks that's quite refreshing. But then again, it's like, all right, President Trump's throwing red meat to his base. But then again, at the same time, it's like, well, Biden is kind of like, he's the not Trump. He's the not Trump choice. It's like, all right, well, he's established. He's been vice president before. And he's probably just going to surround himself with a lot of the Obama administration people. So it's like, is there really a change there? And this is very sad. Because what are we actually pushing? Two other real quick things. So at one point we got to the condemnation. Because even Chris Wallace, I feel bad for the dude. Because, I mean, he's trying to, like, say, Mr. President, you guys agree to this. Because he just kept interrupting. It's like, what are you going to do? Tell the president to not do anything? You can't cut his mic or anything like that. Because even if you did, it's like, the president's going to go on his Twitter and be like, oh, my God, they're silencing the president of the United States. And I feel like, well, he's the president. It's like, this is the world we're in. It's literally WWE. It's literally, that's why I titled it the way it is. I feel bad the sheer fact that I led with just Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. It's like, that should be a pay-per-view event or something. That shouldn't be the presidential debate. But as far as condemnation, because Chris Wallace said, oh, we had like 100 days of rioting and stuff. That was the word that he used. Have there been riots? Yeah, there have been. Have there been a lot of peaceful protests? Yeah, there have been as well. That's why I'm like, you gotta call out the violence wherever it is. It's like, I'm seeing folks like, oh, blah, 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 this. It's like, dude, you do realize, even just from a pragmatic point, aside from the sheer fact that you gotta condemn violence where you see it, Sure fact is, like, the president's putting together videos at this time. I watched it on the front of YouTube literally earlier. It's like, the ads are already there, and it's like, what are you doing? But essentially, Chris Wallace asked, he's like, "Sir, do you condemn like these white supremacists and stuff like that?" And the president's response is like, "Yeah, sure." It's like, "I want peace. I want peace." And it's like, all right, well, you're kind of giving in the same tone and tenor that you supported the reelection of Senator McCain. It's like, well, I have to say this. I'm not going to say it like I'm really happy or anything. And it's like, God rest Senator McCain's soul. And you're looking at that, and you're like, oh, okay. And he's like, well, will you condemn these groups? He's like, well, what do you say? Will you tell your folks on your side to stand down and everything? And at one point, he's like, well, the Proud Boys. So then he gave a shout out to the Proud Boys, which, full disclosure, I went to a free speech event, and Boston Free Speech was there. There were Proud Boys there. I had an opportunity to join. I'm like, no. I listened to the pledge. I'm like, no, I ain't doing that. So I was in a similar boat as Tim Pool as well. It's like, all right, no thank you. But, all right, so at one point it's like, well, are you acknowledging that the Proud Boys are white supremacists? It's like, I don't think that. I mean, I'd say you could probably try to make more of a militia reference or something like that. And then you're getting folks that's like, he's like, I would say to stand back and stand by. It's like, wait. Hold on, pause. Time out. Stand by? I don't even think you can call that a dog whistle. That sounds like a whistle. It's like stay on the... Because this seems to be going into what happens if it's a contested election, which very likely it probably will be. And I'm like, the President of the United States saying that on a national stage, that's why I can't support the President anymore. I voted for Dude Man in 2016. Why? Van Jones hit the nail on the head. It was the biggest two-fingered salute to the establishment ever. And we never got the grand pivot. It makes me very sad because I thought there was so much more potential. I mean, if you just want to quote-unquote trigger the libs, I mean, I guess he's doing a great job of it. I don't think it's healthy for our country. For Joe Biden, he got the question because President Trump flipped it back on him. He's like, well, I see most of the violence I see is coming from the left. Okay. And he's like, oh, you could have condemned Antifa? And it's like, well, Joe Biden responded, well, Antifa's an idea. That may be true. The Proud Boys was also Gavin McInnes's idea. It was an idea. And you can say what you want, but as soon as you start having folks saying it, it's like, I mean, you can say it's loosely organized to try to skirt the law and everything, but my dudes, I've asked you before, I'm like, take off the masks and everything. At this point, it's like, you're going around on a black bloc. They're trying to go after you for RICO charges and everything. You're going to end up getting charged with freaking terrorism. It's like, and that's the other thing, too. Because I heard folks that say that, oh, there's false flags. Guess what? There's false flags and you can't identify anybody. It's a lot easier to do it, too. Whereas, I mean, if you want to go out and just do violence, it's like, yeah, screw that. You should go to jail at that point. It's like you're committing freaking crime. But if you actually went out there, you have a passionate, coherent message, and you actually just get that out to the people, that is impactful. That's the biggest thing that I took away from freaking Joe Biden. Not the debate, but a quote from before. Something along the lines, it's like, he's criticized the president for promoting violence, but it's like, a few poignant words can change many hearts, and that's actually how you change things. Pretty sure we've all been stirred by impactful words at certain points or another. But basically, just to wrap up, it's like, all right, people were painting each other with your standard talking points. That's basically what I took away. Should it really surprise anybody? Not really. Do I wish we had better choices? Totally. Is this where we're at? Yeah. It's going to be another debate coming up in about the next week. I believe it's a town hall style debate. So hopefully we'll be a little bit more cordial, a little bit more civil, because you're actually going to be in front of the voting public at that time. So thank you all for watching. Peace out, everybody. Love you all. Be safe.